Thanks for joining me for another reading session. We are going to knock out a few comments in this recording. This comment comes from James English, comment number 330, posted on the website October 12th. Mr. English says, reporting requirements should not apply to any entity solely for running cryptocurrency infrastructure software. This is any software that is required for the cryptocurrency, however it is designed to function. Forcing requisite infrastructure software to report will undermine a number of important projects, as it cannot be expected that infrastructure systems know the identities of the holders of the cryptocurrency. Requiring this knowledge is not doable, and trying to force this infeasible task will 1. Push American innovators and innovation overseas, 2. Force American innovators underground, 3. Stifle American innovation, 4. Not be fair to American innovators. It will also unfairly force some to be winners and some to be losers among cryptocurrency projects. That completes the reading of comment number 330 by James English. Please hold a moment while I load the next comment. This next comment is by Shunjunju number 307, posted on October 12th. It reads, the new rules proposed by the IRS regarding the reporting of digital asset transactions, including NFTs, are deeply concerning. Requiring every single transaction to be reported, regardless of its value or significance, is an invasion of privacy that goes far beyond what Congress intended. It is unreasonable to expect everyday Americans to meticulously track and report every minor digital asset transaction they engage in. This level of scrutiny is disproportionate and burdensome, especially considering that it far exceeds the reporting requirements for traditional financial transactions. The IRS should focus its efforts on pursuing wealthy tax cheats rather than subjecting average consumers to such intrusive measures. Furthermore, the practicality of enforcing and managing such a vast amount of data is highly questionable. The IRS needs to reconsider these rules and find a more balanced approach that respects privacy while still targeting those who abuse the system. That completes this comment by Shanjun Ju. Bear with me a moment while I load this next reading. This next comment is by Ryan Encarnacion, posted on October 12th, number 274. It reads, today's regulations regarding the reporting of digital asset transactions raise serious concerns. The inclusion of stablecoin, NFTs, and DeFi transactions in this requirement goes beyond the intended scope of pursuing tax evasion. The vast amount of data that would need to be reported, including minute details, raises questions about the practicality and enforcement of such measures. Additionally, privacy considerations must be taken into account when dealing with taxpayer data. It is crucial to find a balance that promotes transparency while safeguarding individuals' privacy rights. These issues require careful consideration and collaboration between regulators and industry stakeholders to ensure effective and fair implementation. Thanks for reading. From a humble Coinbase user in school learning about finance, this completes comment 274, submitted by Ryan Encarnacion. Please give me a moment to load the next reading. This next comment is numbered 193. It was posted to the website on October 12th. The author is keeping their anonymity. The comment reads as follows. I am deeply disappointed by the recent rules regarding the reporting of digital asset transactions. While I understand the importance of transparency and the need to combat tax evasion, the extent to which these rules infringe upon privacy is concerning. Requiring the reporting of every digital asset transaction, regardless of its value, seems excessive and goes beyond the original intent of Congress. This level of scrutiny on everyday Americans' financial activities raises serious privacy concerns. It is alarming to think that even the most mundane transactions would be subject to such scrutiny. Furthermore, the sheer volume of data that would need to be reported is staggering. The requirement to report every single transaction on digital asset trading platforms would result in an overwhelming amount of information for the IRS to process. It is questionable whether the IRS has the resources and capability to effectively handle and enforce such a massive amount of data. While I understand the importance of pursuing tax cheats and bad actors, I believe there must be a more balanced approach that respects the privacy of law-abiding citizens. It is crucial to find solutions that strike a better balance between transparency and privacy, allowing the IRS to effectively pursue tax evasion without unnecessarily burdening everyday Americans. I urge you to reconsider the current rules and work towards a more practical and privacy-conscious approach. That completes the reading of comment 193. Give me a moment to reload for the next comment reading. This comment was submitted anonymously. It is numbered 64 and posted to the website September 28th. It reads, "In accordance with the fundamental tenet of the right to privacy, we assert our rightful claim to the safeguarding of personal information. Mandating decentralized finance platforms to collect extraneous personally identifiable information could potentially result in detrimental consequences for the decentralized finance ecosystem. It is imperative to emphasize that the necessity of undergoing a redundant information gathering process during the off-ramp phase in cryptocurrency transactions presents an undue risk of compromising personal data and invites the prospect of identity theft. The blockchain, by its nature, publicly discloses individual identities, thereby rendering the user susceptible to targeted malicious activities. It is of paramount importance to carefully consider and address these concerns in the interest of preserving privacy and fortifying the security of participants within the decentralized financial framework. We beseech your attention and advocacy to nurture the advancement and adoption of cryptocurrency by enacting judicious legislation, eschewing superfluous impositions that may hinder the growth of this burgeoning sector. Ethereum, a decentralized blockchain, initiated an initial coin offering several years ago. Richard Hart orchestrated a symbolic act in favor of freedom of speech without any profit-driven motives, underscoring his dedication to advocating for individual liberties. Over time, we unexpectedly received an airdrop of two distinct coins, Pulse Chain and Pulse X. Pulse Chain mirrors the Ethereum blockchain, while Pulse X replicates the Uniswap protocol. It is vital to acknowledge Richard Hart's commitment to the well-being of the average person, exemplified through his educational efforts on self-custody practices and mitigation of phishing attacks. Hex, a derivative of Bitcoin, implements a proof-of-stake consensus mechanism as opposed to proof of work, thereby contributing positively to environmental sustainability by anchoring mining activities in temporal intervals rather than energy consumption. It is important to note First Amendment rights, United States. In the United States, the First Amendment to the Constitution protects freedom of speech. Courts have recognized that computer code is a form of expressive speech, and therefore, the development and dissemination of blockchain technology, including code related to cryptocurrencies and smart contracts, can be seen as an exercise of free speech rights. Freedom of Expression International. Various international human rights frameworks, such as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, emphasize the right to freedom of expression. These rights may encompass the creation and dissemination of ideas and information through blockchain technology, open source and decentralization. Open source principles, which often underpin blockchain projects, promote collaboration, transparency, and the free sharing of information. This aligns with the notion of freedom of speech and expression. Censorship resistance. Blockchain's decentralized and distributed nature provides resistance to censorship, allowing individuals to communicate and transact without restrictions imposed by centralized authorities. This aligns with the concept of freedom of speech. In light of these considerations, we express our sincere appreciation and support for Richard Hart and his endeavors. The comment ends there. That was number 64, submitted anonymously. Please hold a moment while I reload. This next comment is number 55, submitted anonymously, and posted to the website September 26th. It reads as follows. Dear IRS, I am writing to express grave concerns with the proposed regulations requiring detailed reporting on dispositions of digital assets. While improving tax compliance is an admirable goal, this proposal raises severe constitutional problems and contravenes core civil liberties. I urge the IRS to reconsider these regulations, which would compel speech in violation of the First Amendment. Cryptocurrencies are considered code protected as speech under precedents like Bernstein versus DOJ. Forced transaction level reporting eliminates pseudonymity, which the Supreme Court recognized in McIntyre versus Ohio Elections Commission as speech enhancing. This system turns private entities into agents of compulsory speech for the government, analogous to the forced disclosures prohibited in Woolley versus Maynard. Enable mass warrantless surveillance contrary to the Fourth Amendment. Carpenter versus United States established constitutionally protected privacy rights in records that comprehensively capture intimate details of lifestyle and beliefs over time. Here, the continuous tracking of cryptocurrency transactions enabled by the regulations would breach reasonable expectations of privacy. Americans do not expect the government to engage in pervasive surveillance of lawful activity without any particularized suspicion. These rules would shred confidentiality of financial records protected in Katz versus United States and United States versus Miller. Forced self-incrimination contrary to the Fifth Amendment. Compelled disclosure of granular transaction details allows law enforcement to data mine records for evidence of criminal activity without obtaining warrants based on probable cause. This conscripts digital asset platforms into a far-reaching surveillance dragnet, generating comprehensive records later usable against customers. Particularly for personal wallets not controlled by regulated third parties, these regulations offend Fifth Amendment protections against compelled self-incrimination. Infringe on freedom of association under the First and 14th Amendments. Requiring trading platforms and wallets to verify identities and furnish detailed payee statements to the IRS enables sweeping surveillance of financial associations. This parallels the forced disclosure of NAACP membership, held unconstitutional in NAACP versus Alabama, likely deterring lawful cryptocurrency usage just as it deterred lawful civil rights advocacy. Americans have a right to associate pseudonymously and transact confidentially, as in Roberts versus JC's, undermined here. Breach reasonable expectations of informational privacy under the 14th Amendment, as Whalen versus Roe held. Americans have constitutionally protected privacy interests in sensitive personal information like finances and health data. Citizens reasonably expect privacy in the confidentiality of lawful cryptocurrency transactions, which can reveal intimate details about activities, associations, and beliefs. Mass surveillance enabled by this proposal contravenes informational privacy. Less intrusive alternatives exist to detect and deter tax evasion without severely compromising civil liberties, like improving Form 1099-B reporting requirements or increasing audits of high net worth taxpayers. The harms to the First, Fourth, Fifth, and 14th Amendments here dramatically outweigh any marginal benefits to tax enforcement. I strongly urge the IRS to explore approaches that would respect constitutional boundaries, rather than sacrificing fundamental freedoms for minor gains in compliance. As Georgetown professor Adam Levitin suggests, focusing on existing reporting channels may offer a balanced solution. But the currently proposed regulations go too far. I ask that the IRS reconsider this approach to avoid violating core American rights. In summary, while the goals of tax compliance are valid, the ends do not justify unconstitutional means. I urge the IRS to rethink these regulations that would compel speech, enable mass surveillance, force self-incrimination, infringe associational freedom, and breach informational privacy, all without sufficient justification. Please explore alternative approaches that do not severely undermine civil liberties. Sincerely, a concerned citizen. Comment number 55 ends there. Please wait a moment while I load the last comment for this recording session. The following is comment number 63 posted to the site on September 28th. The submitter stays anonymous. The comment reads as follows. Please see my comments listed below. Attached is a much more readable document. These basis reporting rules would require tracking detailed information on every crypto transaction, no matter how small. This is highly complex for average retail investors. Most individuals lack the technical skills to comprehensively track basis across wallets, exchanges, DeFi protocols, NFT platforms, and metaverse worlds. Doing so may require expensive software. Even with software, the record-keeping demands could be unrealistic for anyone not operating as a professional trader. Missed filings could result in penalties. This imposes higher compliance burdens on crypto compared to stocks and other assets. That unfairly disadvantages crypto for retail investors. All this will act as a deterrent to mainstream American adoption of cryptocurrencies as a new asset class and technology. Meanwhile, other countries are pursuing smart regulation that enables innovation. The complex reporting rules make the US a less welcoming destination for crypto entrepreneurs. Crypto projects may relocate to jurisdictions with clearer policy environments. The next wave of blockchain innovation could happen elsewhere. The proposed regulations risk undermining US leadership in what could be a transformative technology with negative implications for jobs and economic growth. This represents a major expansion of reporting requirements on cryptocurrency transactions. It risks stifling innovation by saddling the industry with compliance costs and burdens, requiring detailed transaction by transaction basis reporting rather than just reporting proceeds. Significantly increases the workload for brokers and exchanges. This could create major technical challenges. The The exemptions and phase-in periods may not be sufficient. The requirements are still likely to represent a disruptive shock to the crypto industry's operations and business models. Tax compliance is important, but the IRS should explore less burdensome alternatives than comprehensive basis reporting. The costs may outweigh the benefits. These requirements could drive crypto innovation and development overseas to more favorable jurisdictions. They may undermine the U.S. industry's leadership position. First Amendment concerns are valid. Code and protocols can represent protected speech. Imposing reporting mandates squares with compelled speech doctrines. Overall, these proposals fail to appreciate the unique nature of decentralized cryptocurrencies. One-size-fits-all regulations threaten to severely damage investment and economic growth potential. In summary, by imposing impractical demands on average Americans, these proposals seem more focused on discouraging crypto investment rather than balancing reporting needs with support for innovation. This could ultimately drive development offshore. Furthermore, while the goals may be valid, the proposed basis reporting rules are concerning regulatory overreach. They fundamentally misunderstand the technology and may stifle its development. More measured approaches should be pursued to balance innovation and reasonable oversight. The comment ends there. Thanks for listening. Head over to Richard Hart's Twitter profile and tweets for links to post your comment and join the pool of crypto people voicing their minds. Lately, some AI writing help has surfaced that you can utilize to really fashion your comment well. Power to the people. Talk to y'all later. And in case you didn't know, these recordings are also placed on YouTube at the Hex Futures channel.